This is a really somber topic, and it's not one that I actually like talking about, but it's a must talk about topic and video. And so I hope that this video is one that you can put in your back pocket and you can pull out if you ever need it. Why do we need to talk about this topic? Well, let's give you a little bit of statistics. Suicide is one of the top 3 leading causes for individuals between the ages of 10 to 24 years of age. 1.6 million Americans every year attempt to take their life. So if this video turns out to be about 10 minutes, that's 20 people who have attempted to take their lives in the amount of time that you've been watching me and hearing me talk about how to have these conversations. 49,000 Americans die by suicide every year. So again, if it's that same length of time, 10 minutes, one person will die by suicide by the time this video is done. Now you might be thinking, oh, my kids are not teens yet. I even did it myself. I crossed off kid and I put teen, and then I did a little bit more research and then I crossed off teen and put kid. Because what we're starting to notice is that preteens, tweens, is on the rise of suicide. So it's not uncommon or unheard of for there to be an 8-year-old. And when I say that number, it's the age of my twins. And I'm like, oh, that's heart-wrenching. But again, this is a topic, these are conversations that we need to be having. They're conversations that you all need to be having with your children or know what to do if it comes time to have these conversations with your kids. So the first thing is, if your child's friend dies by suicide, the very first thing that I need you to do, or I want you to do, is you need to assess your child's own suicidality. And the reason for that is there is a contagion effect. So teens who die by suicide, their friends are at an increased likelihood of also dying by suicide. I don't want this to be your reality. And so we want to assess their suicidality. And you're to do this by asking 3 questions. The first question is, are you thinking about killing yourself? Number 2 is, do you have a plan to kill yourself? And number 3 is, do you have the means to kill yourself? Now I know parents, no one, believe me, no one wants to ask their child these 3 questions. I get it. But I know from firsthand experience that these 3 questions save lives. They do. And the other thing that I always hear parents ask, well, if their kid's not thinking about killing themselves, well, then it's going to make their child think about killing themselves. It's not. And again, it can save their life. So ask those 3 questions. Now, if your child says no to the first one, obviously you don't need to ask the follow-up questions. But if they say yes to the first one and then say yes to the second one and then say yes to the third one, well, then your next trip or next phone call should be to a suicide hotline, or you should be hopping in the car and going to the ER and getting your child the support and the help and the immediate need that they need at that moment in time. If their answer to these 3 questions is no, well, then here's some other things to do to have that conversation, to have that challenging conversation. The first thing I want you to do is you want to focus that it's not, their grief is not your problem to fix. They don't have a problem. They are grieving. Their friend just died by suicide. And there's a whole mix of emotions going on in their heart, in their mind, in their body. And so one great resource is this book. It's called It's Okay Not to Be Okay by Megan Devine. I just recently read it to do work with one of my clients who's grieving, and it's an amazing book. And the big takeaway is grief is not a problem to fix. So don't try to fix their problems. Don't try to make them happy. That's a terrible way to have this conversation with your child. Next is you're going to want to sit with them and let them know that you are there in whatever capacity they want you to be there. Again, you are not putting yourself on them. You're allowing them to take the lead and communicate and tell you what they need. Whatever it is, allow them to play to their strengths. Are they artists? Well, then let them get creative. Are they athletes? Let them go play their sport. I remember when I received the worst news in my whole entire life at 11 years old. The next day, I was at a fundraiser car wash for my travel softball team because it was exactly what I needed. That normalcy of joking around with my teammates and like trying to get people to come in was exactly what 11-year-old Andrea needed after she learned that her brother was murdered. So whatever it is, whatever your child says they need, honor it within reason. Obviously, if they said they need to cut themselves, no, don't do that. There'll be another video on that. But honor what they say they need. Whatever it is, you might want to get a copy. It's a great book for grief. You may want to read it together with your child and see and work through it and help them carry their grief and not fix their grief. Now, here's the third and final piece. Most kids are going to recover. Children, teens are naturally resilient. The vast majority of individuals are going to recover from such a tragedy in a normal way, as long as they are allowed to grieve how they need to grieve and no one's trying to solve their problems. But there's going to be a percentage of cases where we're going to need some additional help. That's when you're going to seek out the services of a mental health provider or a mental health professional. The best way to do this, I find, is going to psychologytoday.com, and you can type in, there's a whole search engine, and you can find mental health providers in your area who accept your insurance, who specialize in the things that your child needs them to specialize in. If you want help maneuvering that, by all means, reach out to me and I will be more than happy to help you find your child's mental health therapist, because it is so huge. And believe me, you're not equipped. You may not be equipped to give them what they exactly need to go through their grieving process, but other mental health providers are, and that's why we're there. So by all means, reach out, contact me, comment. We'll be watching and we will help you in any way that we possibly can. As we finish up this video, the odds are in your favor that you will never need this video. That is my hope for you. But in the rare case that you do have to break that glass, like in case of emergency, break that glass, and the rare case that you have to break that glass, with this video, you are armed and ready. Save this video so that you have it in your back pocket. Put it in an email, put it in a file, put it in your notes, save it on your YouTube, whatever it is, save this video so that if this ever were to happen and you need this video, you can just say, oh, that's where it is, grab it, watch it, and carry out those 3 steps. Assess their suicidality. You're going to not fix their problem. You're going to honor what they need. And in the rare situation that they need additional help, you're going to find a mental health provider that's going to be best for them. You got this. You're armed. And by doing these things, you become a trusted adult that your child can have these conversations with, even though no one wants to have these conversations. And by becoming a trusted adult in your child's life, you and me together are throat punching this youth mental health crisis.